All right, welcome everybody. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your sit rep for the last day of the year. Man, I'll be glad to get this one behind us. It is about 12 high noon here, Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas on December 31st, 2021. And without further ado, let's hop on over to the board here. Just so you guys can see, it is a very light day up today. Not a lot of activity going on. I got a couple birds out here on the West Coast and just a handful out here. We do have our normal air refuelers going on over here on the East Coast. Of course, that's camping out over Flashbang's location. But other than that, not much to speak of. A couple of heavies. And we do have some general emergencies that popped up. Those are actually commercial birds, nothing, no military stuff. Looks like one is a life flight, and then no radio on this one, and then two generals, Delta Airlines and Southwest. So let me back out of that, get over to our other main board. We do have one little interesting flight out here running some routes in the Middle East. That's an R-135. We'll take a closer look at that one here in just a minute. But as you can see, it is it's pretty slim pickings now. That's going to be one of your E6s, Airborne Command Center. And that's off the coast. Now, we were talking early on, there's one of our refuelers and then a couple other birds, nothing really to speak of. So, okay. Now, we've been talking a lot about these flights over Florida and that there was an increase in fighter activity. We weren't imagining things. We're going to get into that a little bit too. I figured out why that was going on, and I don't think it's related to Trump. Before we do that, let's jump over here. We've got 7 volcanoes that are spewing ash right now. That is a little lower than the average we've been seeing lately. I do expect this time of year, man, we seem to get some crazy stuff going on. Large earthquakes, and I mean really large earthquakes. This is, remember back not too long ago, I guess 10 years ago or so, we had that flood in Southeast Asia that killed like 500,000 people or something, right, from that tsunami. That busted loose. Then we had the Fukushima thing happen, and so a lot of that stuff is around this time of year. And so I don't know what happens with the Earth, but it starts to shake up about this time. And so we'll keep our eye on this as always. But looks like Central and South America are popping as they usually do. La Palma's pretty much calm, and then this one in Japan is firing. Okay. All right, let's get over to Flashbang. Nothing really going on. He is in Wilmington, Delaware, and as you can see, according to this, that is an active TFR out here. And then, of course, we have winter storm warnings coming through. I know it is supposed to drop here over the weekend down in the 20s here in Texas. So, yeah, pretty cold. Of course, we got some crazy fires going on out there in Boulder. But this is the area where we have some new, very small, this is kind of what you would expect to see with a POTUS or anybody else for that matter, but these are VIP TFRs for Los Angeles. That's going to be Bob Marley. She is out there. Typically, that's about the size of a TFR that you would normally get. So when you see it looking like this, I don't know if it's because he is so like not with it in terms of his brain that they've got to give him an expanded radius for longer time to react if something happens. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but nothing would surprise me more, right? So, okay. So we've gone through, we've got, that's Flashbang stuff. Then we've got this, we looked at the TFRs, and then now let's get over here to Brokeback Better. And I just want to show you the coastline off of California right now in terms of ships. It's not good. Now remember, they get out in this general area, they are not getting dinged by the metrics going into the port. So the wait times don't begin, the clock doesn't begin. So they could sit out here for another couple weeks before the clock starts ticking. These are all boats waiting to get into Los Angeles and or Long Beach. And as you can see, the port here is absolutely jam-packed, all right? So it's certainly not getting better. If anything, I think it may be getting worse. And these are a lot of inbound, outbound boats right here coming into the same region. So yeah, not doing good on that side at all. So, all right, so I figured out what was going on here, why we had so many fighters up over Florida area over the last couple, like week and a half, 2 weeks. I believe it was tied to this. Did not know this, but China has got a lot of presence right now in Cuba. They've been there. They've got their boats there. And I mean military vessels. They're actually talking about putting aircraft and boats in on that area. But they just inked a deal with Cuba to basically help build their infrastructure. And so it's they, excuse me, signed a cooperation plan for joint promotion in the China Proposed Belt and Road Initiative. If you guys are familiar with the BRI, that's actually taking place. It's in, across the Middle East and all over around the world, really. So China has really been on the move. And so it looks like this is their latest and greatest, where they are actually parking boats there. So we have a command presence off of Florida, basically to keep people honest. And so that's, I believe, what has been going on. All right. Okay, now let's get over here real fast to just track. We've been watching this Google balloon. I'm just calling it Google balloon. This military intel balloon bug out across. It actually was kind of funny. It came from up here in kind of South Dakota area, rolled out over Florida, down over Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and then it started bolting across, went across the Yucatan. It was hanging out a little bit on the east coast of Mexico, and then it went to west coast, and now it is out over the Pacific, and that's where we lost sight of it. So it has not been seen. Last it was up, it was at 65,300 feet, and it has not been seen. Well, that's the 18th, so it's been a couple days since we lost track of it, but there you have it. All right, we'll keep an eye and see if it pops back in. Probably not. Simply amazing. All right. Okay, now this is the one we're just looking at on the board in the Middle East. This is actually an R-135 flying as Python 55, and it's last seen up here in Iraq. As you can see, it looks like they're bouncing up to do a little recon in the Middle East region there. And so started out today out here and took off. Let's see where that is. That's going to be in Qatar, headed northbound to Iraq, and then it landed in Iraq and has since bumped up for another round of action there. So you can see that's airborne now, 31,000 feet. So I imagine it's going to probably run some border routes. And so that's Iraq. All right. And over to Biggs Army Airfield, I will tell you, we've got, seem to have a lot of troops moving in and out of that location right now. We've got an arrival coming in from Baltimore. This is Omni. The reason I know these are not related to poppies is because I actually had someone that works with them reach out to me and backfill me on what it was, told me that it was not poppies, that it was actually troops. And so I try not to go deep on these because they are troops. All right. And so you can see this one here is actually County Clare. That's headed out to Ireland. And then that's about as far as I'll go with it. Okay. Usually those are camber flights and you can't see where they end up going. So, but the Omni's a little bit different, but yeah, it looks like we got a lot of troop movement and rotation coming out of here, out of this location. But let me do this too. I'm going to just look at the arrival board and make sure, kind of do a little more of a deep dig. You can see on Thursday, this was the latest one. So 777-200, right? Went to, actually arrived from Fort Worth, and then the other one from Baltimore, and then another one from Fort Worth. So you can see we've been kind of bouncing in and out of there. So, okay, now over to the Swift Air. These are the ones that are moving the immigrants across our country for the most part. This is probably your biggest offender, so to speak. Just want to point out, very active today, actually. These are little 737 400s and 800s. They hold about 219, 225 bodies. Don't know that they're full on every time they go, but just want to point out, you know, you do have a lot of border town stuff. We still got Laredo and things going in here. Valley, that's another border town. El Paso, still kind of bouncing in and out. And we still have stuff going in and out of San Juan. Now, if you remember, as we got into this Google map, one of the ones that we saw actually back over here on this is, it's not showing right now. So let me get over here. I'll just show you. Had a lot of flights going in and out of Cincinnati, Kentucky International, okay? headed over to Salt Lake, headed to San Diego. I just point that out because as we get over here to Google Earth, I just want to show you this is that airport, all right? But if you back it up just a skosh, you run up here off of 74, out here is Camp Arterbury, and there's actually two camps in here. But these are poppy camps, all right? They are loading poppies in there, and so more than likely, these guys are getting a bus ride. I don't know why they wouldn't fly them out of Indianapolis, but more than likely they're rolling out of here. That seems to be kind of the hub for their departure, okay? But also, you know, we were looking at this flight here. As we get back over, you see San Juan, Puerto Rico. And so if you get over here to the map and we get down to San Juan, you can see that we actually have quite a bit of activity right here in this general area. You actually have one out here in the U.S. Virgin Islands I thought was interesting too, in St. Croix. But this is a location too. So we have seen them land here, but typically they come into San Juan. So the San Juan is actually a prison location. So that may be what we're seeing there, okay? All right, let's talk Guantanamo Bay for a second. Very quiet on the board, nothing really to happen. We do have the departures. These came in yesterday. Looks like they're rolling out today. United Airlines headed up to Jacksonville. That's more than likely that troop rotation we were talking about. And then the Airborne Express headed up to Baltimore, Washington. I don't really know if this is tied to anything in particular. They do come in pretty regularly. But now that we know that we've got this location down here, which is the Guantanamo Bay Migrant Operations Center, complete unknown, didn't know it was there. That kind of makes me wonder if some of these Airborne Express birds aren't full of immigrants that they're bringing in and out of here. So kind of crazy, man. Little unknown operation. Okay. All right. So we looked at the Guantanamo Bay. Now, there were two flights we watched pop into Guantanamo Bay. I'll talk a little bit about them. These were the Air Force birds. Like I said, they came in hot, one right behind the other, from Scott Air Force Base up in Illinois. Landed down in Guantanamo, or actually went to Lauderdale first, and then hopped over to Guantanamo Bay again, two ship. They did the same thing exfilling, right? So they left Guantanamo, went back to Lauderdale, and then off they went up to Asheville, North Carolina, then on to Scott. But both of them did the same thing. So this is one of them, this is the other, and you can see Asheville, and then this one rolling up here to the same spot. So back to back, came in tight, one another. I don't know what that was all about. This is the aircraft. They're called C-21s. It's actually a little Learjet 35. But it is capable of transporting 1 litter of 5 ambulatory patients for aeromedic evac operations, which I thought was interesting. I don't see too many or too often these guys rolling in one right behind the other. So if it was an air medevac, you could have had, you know, patient on one and doctors, you know, medical staff and team on another. Or a mix on both. I don't really know. I just don't know. I just know I have not seen them roll in tight in a formation like that to Guantanamo Bay ever. And so just out of the norm. I don't know what it was, what it's tied to. But we'll continue to watch them and just see if they go anywhere else interesting. But there you have that. So I was trying to show you guys the other day what the aircraft looked like, and I had not pulled it up, and I didn't want to waste your time while I dug for it. So, okay, now let's get over here real fast as we look around the world at the things that are going on. And so this is a follow-up. I guess Biden had a chat with Putin, and Russia is now calling on the U.S. to heed demands. So I guess Russia has levied some demands onto the U.S. I honestly think these guys are about to pull the trigger, and just to kind of back that up and show you, you hear people that are in the area, on the border, saying they hear shelling already going on. And so that's in a village right there on the border between Russia and the Ukraine. So exactly what you would think Russians look like. I mean, it's kind of funny when you look at the pictures and our stereotyping of how you expect them. So, but yeah, this is, I think this spot's about to go hot. I don't expect China to do anything with Taiwan just yet because of the Olympics, but I do think that Russia is going to definitely make a move here pretty soon. They are not concerned about anybody else in the world. They want that region, and I think they're going to go in and just take it. So, okay. Now, this one is actually interesting. I had somebody in the Monkey Nation send this over to me. I just wanted to touch base on it because it does confirm the fact that we have been watching them spy on us for quite some time. And as you can see, this is actually, you got the tail number right here, N539MY. If you go and look up that tail number, which we'll do here in just a minute, you'll see that it is no longer active. It hasn't flown in quite some time. But notice it's got the surveillance cameras on there. That plane is probably loaded with Stingray and Dirtbox, which is a cell phone intercept capability, as well as aerial surveillance. And so, real small footprint. You're not really looking. You're not going to see those on the military side. Those are going to be diamonds in the rough, okay? And so what you're looking for is that circle pattern, because that's what they do. They'll hit a certain altitude, they'll level set, and then they'll hit just a perfect circle. And so when you see that perfect circle at around 15,000 feet, that is usually man in the middle, and it's doing a cell tower grab. It has been seen over events, for example, and I'll show you that in just a second, but this is the bird. It's actually tied to, you can see it landed 7 years ago, so it has not been officially flying in quite some time. But I will tell you, it's registered to a company called NG Research, and they are basically a shell company for the feds, okay? The feds do that all the time. There's probably hundreds of these things out there where they just stand up a shell, or they'll actually charter and contract the work out to another company. But they'll stand up a shell company, and then once people get onto them, they'll shut it down and open up another one, all right? And so, but these are spycraft. And then this one here, here it is right here over West Baltimore, over the rioting, surveillance plane spotted in the sky for days, right? And so there's that that tight circle, as you can see it, almost perfect. Right, and this guy's up just grabbing data, but it just confirms it. Now, this is the same company, and so, like I said, I've seen that people claiming that the company is basically folded and that it's popped up under something else now. But there it is right there, NG Research. You can see out of Bristol, Virginia. But yeah, this is just confirmation, right? Here's a little Cessna 182. That's going to be the plane we just looked at, and then here's a little Cessna 560 Citation, that's a high dollar plane, and to have that up doing similar things is very interesting. You can see the altitude on this one's a little lower than what we would expect to see. The PC-12 aircraft are usually around 15,000, and they just stay right at that level. But this one's a little low, so they may have been doing some aerial surveillance at that level, and not so much the cell tower grabs. But that loop that they do is consistent with a cell tower grab. So when you see that round circle, really tight, perfect circle, that's because they have become, in essence, the tower, the cell tower, right? And so all the phones are just talking to that plane, and they're gathering data. So just wanted to point that out. It just confirms that what we already knew. But from time to time, it's nice to kind of just, tick the box, go back, kick the tires, and show that, we were right. They are definitely spying on us, okay? All right, well, you can see the U.S. is pretty doggone quiet, and so I expect there's probably going to be more surveillance up as we get closer into the evening. If you're out and about, please be safe. And that's going to do it for our sit rep today. From all of us here at Monkey Werx, we just wish you a blessed new year, and we thank you for being with us this past year. We're really excited about what's coming next year. Boy, I can't even imagine. So, but it's good to put this one behind us. So for those over in the chat, I'll see you over in the Q&A here in just a minute. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out.
Check out the latest gear and products at monkeywerxus.com.